All right, guys, got some big breaking news here for you. So, House Republicans just passed their budget resolution, and this thing is a nightmare. So, the final vote tally was 217 to 215. Every single Republican except one voted for it. The one who voted no was Thomas Massie, and the reason Thomas Massie voted no is because he wanted the budget to be worse. So, I hate to say it, but it's true. There is no such thing as a moderate Republican, certainly not in D.C., because what's in this bill is absolutely catastrophic. So it includes, ready for this, $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. That basically completely destroys Medicaid. It's like there's no more Medicaid. Remember, Medicaid is healthcare for low-income people and disabled people. Destroys that. There's also $230 billion in SNAP cuts. That's the food stamp program. So desperate people who need food, you're taking that food out of their mouth. And for what exactly? There is $1.1 trillion in tax cuts for people in the top 1%. That's nice. That's awesome. So just to put that into perspective for you a little more, if you're in the top 1%, you will receive a tax cut of $36,320. Now, if you make, let's say, for argument's sake, $55,000 a year, this bill would raise your taxes $1,530. Stop and think about that, man. So for the bottom 95% of people, it raises your taxes. It only cuts taxes for the top 5% of people. So this bill, I mean, look, I can't say enough negative stuff about it. So in total, it's $4.5 trillion in tax cuts over the next decade. It's $2 trillion in spending cuts. The specific reductions are going to be determined by the individual House committees. So we don't actually know like the real deep details of it. But what we do know is the $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. There's also a $4 trillion increase in the national debt ceiling. Again, kind of hilarious because Republicans always pretend like they're the party of fiscal responsibility and they're deficit hawks, and they're doing the exact opposite here. And also, this is noteworthy as well. Remember, Trump and Pete Hegseth were pretending like they support an 8% cut to the Pentagon. In fact, Pete Hegseth told the Pentagon, prepare for an 8% cut. Well, guess what? This bill increases military spending by $100 billion. So yet again, virtue signaling like they might cut military spending, but ultimately when push comes to shove, increasing military spending. And of course, they're going to use budget reconciliation to try to get this thing through in the Senate. So look, this is catastrophic. This is a disaster. And as I said, if you voted for this, you are not a moderate by definition. You are an extremist. If you say, hey, I want to cut taxes for the top 1%, while at the same time destroying Medicaid completely and massively cutting the food stamp program, like, what am I supposed to do with that? So, look, I really hope that just like how we've had all these town halls where Republicans have been getting reamed on a daily basis and angry voters are showing up and really applying pressure, I really hope that the passage of this through the House of Representatives leads to a similar thing here, that this gets bodies in the streets, this gets angry voters at town halls, this gets 1 trillion calls to Congress, directly to the office of these various politicians, to let them know that, look, man, this is completely unacceptable. This is unacceptable. So, anybody who is still holding on to the hope, which at this point was hilariously naive, that, well, maybe the MAGA Republican Party is different. Maybe they're populist. Maybe they'll actually look out for working people. That notion is so immensely dead that it's mind-boggling. The whole point of this party is to suck off the robber barons and tell working people to eat shit and die. They may as well name the budget resolution that. We'll suck off, it's kind of wordy, but we'll suck off robber barons and poor people and middle-class people can eat shit and die. Because that's what this is. That is effectively what this is. An absolutely disgusting resolution And look, I mean, they're going to use budget reconciliation. So if they can hold their own caucus in the Senate, they can get it through, right? But needless to say, Democrats should make all the noise in the world over this. Don't shut up about it. Spread the message about how evil this legislation is. I hope the voters are up in arms. I hope there's bodies in the streets, because this is beyond unacceptable with how grotesque a piece of legislation this is.